Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and as we await the announcement, probably an announcement, of the next Hearthstone expansion, I thought we'd take a look at the first expansion of the year, Whizbang's Workshop, and determine whether it's been a success or a failure. Or we're just gonna go over like class by class, see what the impact has been, and overall my feelings on how this set is, maybe the future for it, and also how's this guy, how's Splendiferous Whizbang doing? And I would love to hear your guys' take on how you have enjoyed, not enjoyed, whatever it is, how you have felt about this expansion. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, if you like, I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like as we're on the road to 83,000 subscribers. So Whizbang's Workshop launched, what was it? It was back in March. It's been a while now, right? And again, we're at that cycle where we're expecting an expansion announcement. Probably expect a later video tomorrow. I don't think we're getting an announcement, but there might be something coming tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But yes, Splendiferous Whizbang is kind of the focal point of the expansion, although not really a competitive card. But it's all about throwbacks to like iconic cards. You got plushies and toys, you know, very serious stuff, very serious business. But ironically, I just wanted to mention that this card has been really cool. They actually buffed it at one point, but getting all those experimental decks and all that stuff has been pretty darn rad. I know people have enjoyed it. And the best deck right now in Standard across all ranks is actually a Whizbang deck. Believe it or not, that Warlock deck is pretty darn good. The Shrunken deck is like you just delete your cards and then you just win with some pretty ridiculous stuff. Let's take a look. Let's see what like archetypes they were pushing and what's really happened for these classes. Because it's really, to me, Whizbang's Workshop has been a real hit and missed expansion for some classes. Like you take a look at Death Knight, cool stuff. Like they got a bunch of hand buff things. They're really pushing the undead hand buff strategy, which really didn't work out as like a top tier strategy. We saw Rainbow Death Knight get nerfed. Plague kind of got indirectly nerfed with the Reno changes. We saw Threads of Despair, an absolutely insane card that I rated pretty poorly. Maybe we need to do a video on the cards I rated poorly. I missed a lot this set compared to some other ones, so maybe we'll do that. But overall, yeah, the hand buff stuff didn't work out. But I have to say, for me, it was a home run, this whole set for Death Knight. Home run, because the Headless Horseman, it lived up to the hype for me. I know it's not like a super powerful card. I know it's not amazing, but the flavor is still 10 out of 10. I still love playing this card. It's a nice removal tool. And then, yeah, sometimes it feels like rarely you get some value out of that hero power, and it can be pretty darn cool. And I really love this card, and I'm glad, you know, we'll have it to play for like this year and next, right? It's gonna be around for quite some time. But overall, yeah, Death Knight's hand buff stuff hasn't come together, but I'm almost certain it will. Like, they keep adding pieces, and one of the best cards, like Amateur Puppeteer, at least when I'm playing Arena, it's nuts. And I feel like Arena is foreshadowing a lot of time for when cards will be good later, especially Death Knight. And I would not sleep on the hand buff stuff. So overall, Death Knight gets a thumbs up for me for Whizbang's Workshop. Demon Hunter definitely gets a big thumbs up. They got an insane package of cards that really helped elevate. It got nerfed, right? Umpire's Grasp, Window Shopper, it spawned a whole new archetype for Demon Hunter. It's still prevalent right now. It's not super popular, the play rate, but it is a very good deck. Mctheridon, a really rad card, but unfortunately, yeah, you can't really play him. You have to play the 1-mana 1/1 version of him. But you take a look at cards like, especially in particular, Ballhog is such an insane card. They actually made a good Spirit. The Spirit cards are notoriously terrible. Actually made a good one here. And there's some other solid cards that, again, like this is one of the best 1-drops out there. Once it gets more support for Demon Hunter, I feel like a lot of these cards are going to keep seeing play. Red card has seen play. It's just, yeah, the CCG, the Death Rattle stuff hasn't really worked out quite yet. But overall, I think Demon Hunter got a lot of good stuff, and it spawned a whole new archetype. And it was so good, it had to get nerfed. And I at least enjoyed playing it, at least at the beginning. Haven't really played it much since. But overall, yeah, I think Demon Hunter fans should be relatively happy with the set. Druid is just a weird one. A lot of terrible cards, like Jade Display, Wind Up Sapling is pretty awful. And Smolin has the potential to be busted at some point, but right now, doesn't see much play. And they got like the mini set card of like Beanstalk, which is wild, insane. Treant Druid, holy crap, it can be nuts there. So look out for that card. But yeah, the whole spell damage thing, they had to buff it a bunch. It didn't work out amazingly well, but it's competitive. My boy Toyrantis hasn't really been meta. They had to buff Aviana. They had to buff a bunch of Druid cards. It did come together near the end, but it was quite the headache. You know, they had to buff Chia Drake. They had to buff Woodland Wonders. There's a lot of little tweaks in here and there, and it still doesn't feel like a very smooth class. Druid still feels like kind of a mess. And when you have like, yeah, complete throwaway cards, I feel like Druid set was not amazing, but it still has potential when you have cards like Alonius that I can't completely write off Druid as like a fail for the set. Hunter obviously was just busted, like probably the best class is set in terms of cards. The location got nerfed, but they got so many good tools. The mini set was really good too, like Bargain Bin, and the new legendary has been really solid. Product 9, even the big beasts like Mystery Egg, the buff to Tyrannosaurus, King Plush, I've seen play in standard, and this card itself spawned a whole broken archetype in wild. How can you not give an absolute big thumbs up? Patchwork Pal's really good card. Remote Control, RC Rampage, insane set for Hunter. Hunter fans, probably a big fan of Whizbang's Workshop, and yeah, like Saddle Up ended up getting nerfed because of all this, and who would have thought Saddle Up would be a nerf candidate, right? That card was dead, so absolutely huge home run for Hunter this set. Mage, pretty big whiff, right? You have the no minion mage, the spell mage. It finally started taking off with the mini set malfunction. It's still not a great deck. People just really like playing it, but it's too fair, if anything, and nothing else really came together. We got some elementals that don't really do a lot. Kagdar, who casts mirror images all the time, but he's still a good card, despite just casting mirror image, it feels like. But overall, it was a bit of a dud for Mage, particularly when Yogg in the box and like Orb are supposed to be these big payoff cards for Spell Mage, and you can't even play them in the deck. They're too slow. They're not good enough. And when your payoff cards don't even feel worth it, it's kind of a disappointment. And yeah, I was hoping for a lot more from Mage this set. It seemed to have more impact in WoW. They got Quest Mage finally nerfed, but overall, I guess Mage kind of a whiff. Obviously, Paladin got some insane stuff. I will say though, the whole aura package, complete fail. I've never talked about it, but this is a card. I already had forgotten about it. Cardboard Golem, where you increase the duration of auras in your hand, deck, and battlefield by 1. I have never ever seen anyone play this card at all. So that whole like aura buff thing like didn't really work, and Pipsy has actually seen a tiny bit of play. It's worked a little bit, and like obviously they got Tareem, they got Plushie got nerfed at one point. This weapon probably get nerfed at some point, right? It's so insanely good, and the Flash Hill has seen play. Glow Sticks is pretty solid. Paladin got a lot of great stuff and is still super competitive, and I still see Paladin complain about almost every video I ever make. So you know they are very happy with what they got. Priest is just a mess. Outside of Zarimi, like the most brute forest archetype ever, where we're literally going to give you an extra turn, which did get nerfed, right? This started at 5 dragons. Other than the dragon stuff, I guess the mini set kind of salvaged like Reno Priest, but they like try to get like the Raza stuff going, the hero power stuff. It hasn't worked like at all. And like, I don't know what chalk art is. I mean, not every card has to be competitive. It's more of a meme, but they got like some really terrible cards like Delayed Product, and it's been a weird one. Priest just feels like a mess. It still feels really just all over the place, and I'm curious, very curious, what the next set will look like. Is it gonna have Purifying Power support? Let's hope not. But overall, Priest was a mess. I can't really give a thumbs up to it, because it was either like cards didn't work out, or it went to like old archetypes, or it was just brute force power creep insane dragon that I'm not a fan of the style. It's not really for me. And they made Psychic Scream and worse, but still it triggers me. Regardless, not huge on the Priest cards. Rogue got a lot of pirates that haven't seen a lot of play. They buffed a location that hasn't really seen play. The cards that have seen play are broken. Like Sonya is a card I don't think ever lasts at its current state for the entirety of its standard run, because she's going to be here for this year and next, and she's insane, and the more support she gets, the more busted she is, especially this card's broken too. Sandbox Scoundrel, the way she worked, I feel like something is going to give with that, but like Pyro Rogue itself didn't really work out. The Miracle thing has kind of, but I feel like Rogue set was just, again, kind of a mess, a lot of kind of garbage, but also wild, like destroyed by it, like Toy Boat, Dig for Treasure, Twisted Pack in the mini set has spawned like Knowles. It's been a very impactful set, but in like the weirdest of ways. I'm not a big fan of this Rogue set. I just feel like it added some couple degenerate cards for both formats and made Rogue more frustrating to face in both formats rather than spawning like a cool Pirate Rogue or something like that. That hasn't emerged, but we have a beach looking theme coming, right? So maybe there's more pirates on the way and that Pirate Rogue will emerge. Shaman just got a bunch of good cards. Like it wasn't like to spawn a specific archetype. Hagatha needed to get buffed, but got some big spells. Shutter Block's great. Wish Upon a Star is insane in the arena. I've even seen people playing like a duplicate Wish Upon a Star like buff Shaman, which has been pretty good. They just got a bunch of good cards. Shaman hasn't really been top tier, hasn't been bottom tier, been middle of the pack. I really like this set where it's like, here's a bunch of good cards for Shaman. Go play with them. We're not forcing any archetypes. We're just giving you a bunch of good cards and have at it. And I think that's that's the strategy. That's the style I like to see for when cards are thrown out in expansions, not these brute force archetypes like Zaremi, right? All the dragons, just play dragons, take an extra turn, win. Shaman just got a bunch of good cards and they feel pretty good to play, but not broken, not terrible, just good, right? And Warlock, my goodness, they got the demon package, which has absolutely been a fail, other than I guess Infertile, because it didn't really go into the demon deck. It went to the Insanity deck, but like one of the worst cards ever in the mini, the tabletop role player. This could be like 3 mana, be absolute garbage. And I get outside like the first day, I haven't seen Nemzi, and it's such a nice card. The Crane game got buffed. Like the demons just shows the strategy of like playing big minions in today's game does not work, because not only it's like hard to set up, but it gets punished by so much, including Reno. Just poof it. That feels bad, but people copy your demons or reverb your demons or like there's just so many punishes that an archetype that people really loved, you know, Q Block, Big Demon Hunter, or Big Demon Warlock was really cool. You can't do it. It just doesn't work. You got to mana cheat out some stuff. And other than that, like the demon stuff hasn't worked out. All the other cards, I mean, like this card's so bad, but like mass production is insane. Endgame saw play. And I think Wheel of Death like was the biggest surprise, right? Almost none of us thought it would be good. Thought it'd be a meme, and it was so good that they ended up like reworking Reno. They had to nerf the location. They made this card work the way the text was supposed to be because it didn't even work properly. But it was pretty cool to see Wheel of Death be like a thing, but it was also pretty darn toxic and a little bit too good. And now it's kind of disappeared. So it's like, it's a kind of a sad thing. The Wheel of Death was pretty meta. I'll still give like Warlock a decent pass, but overall, yeah, the demon stuff really hasn't worked out. Warrior, like, I don't know, taunts, mechs, arena patron, almost none of these cards have seen play. Like the Warrior set horrifically bad for the most part. Like Adventure Boom really good, but only to get like Ziliax out and other stuff like that. The whole mech Warrior itself not worth playing. And that was really it. Like you have these cards that was my big concern about the Warrior cards. You have like Reckham and Deckham, and you have Boom Wrench. And if the mechs aren't good, these are completely dead and useless cards in your collection. And that's where we're at right now, at least, until it takes off. Same with Park Scrapper. Looked really good on paper, hasn't really taken off. And this Warrior set was bad. It was really bad. This pack is awful. There's cards that'll probably see play. Like, and obviously Safety Goggles has now. I think there's cards that can see play at some point, but overall a complete mess. A miss, but Warrior was like super good, has been nerfed multiple times this expansion, and is still really good with Reno, still really good with Odin. So, you know, Warrior fans are doing fine. This set just wasn't great. And of course, Neutrals is just basically the Ziliax show. This card's busted. It's been nerfed twice. It's probably going to get nerfed again with the virus module stuff going on. Ticking module might get nerfed again. It's like in 70% of decks, one of the most popular cards ever. It's really cool. It's the first ever custom card. It's just outright busted, but is that okay? Yeah, I guess it's just, yeah, the virus module's a little bit silly right now, and I imagine we'll see changes to Ziliax. I doubt he stays the same way. Not a huge ton of themes between the neutrals. It's usually just a bunch of random crap. We have like origami cards that only really saw play in the arena. Like the mustache card somehow didn't break the meta. You know, putting funny mustaches, making people cry and laughing. Of course, Dorian somehow has to take it off as like this uber broken card. I'm waiting for the day it will. Maybe it won't, but I'm worried about it. You never know. But overall, yeah, neutrals not super impactful this set. Outside of Ziliax, you did have like, you know, the Playhouse Giant, particular in Rogue, has been really good, but overall, yeah, the neutral's pretty minimal impact, which I feel like most people are kind of like, yeah, that's okay. We don't want 8 neutral legendaries getting nerfed every expansion. We'll just have Ziliax getting nerfed every set. So overall, the neutrals, I think it's fine. So after looking at all the classes, it is pretty remarkable. A lot of this stuff ended up popping up, seeing play. It took a long time for a lot of this stuff to work. The meta was so imbalanced for so long at the beginning. Like if you remember, the first like month or two of this set, every 2 weeks was dominated by another class after each patch. It was really frustrating. We're now in a meta game where a ton of these cards are playable. There's a lot of different things to do. I do think Whizbang's workshop overall was a success in introducing a bunch of different archetypes, some support to prior ones, and not being overwhelmingly dominant. It felt like a lot of the cards that were like problems or like leftovers from other sets, outside of some issues in Paladin in particular, and maybe Warlock, but overall, I was a fan of the set. I think it wasn't too uber powerful. There's a lot of fun stuff, and I think we still have a lot of future for like a cards like the hand buff stuff or other things that might pop up in the future, right? Like, I don't think these cards necessarily are going to be completely wiped out and not be relevant next set. I think a lot of this stuff might even emerge that's sitting there not doing a lot. So overall, Whizbang's workshop does get a thumbs up from me, but man, it would have felt a lot better if, you know, they play tested and balance tested a bit more. So it didn't take like 3 months to get to the point where it feels like kind of okay. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below how you felt about the set. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.